Even though Uganda was relatively safe, they felt compelled to tell the world that Kony was still out there and had to be stopped.
I'm here so proud advocating for the people who are back at home. And this change we're going to make is going to last forever.
We built a community around the idea that where you live shouldn't determine whether you live. We were committed to stop Kony and rebuild what he had destroyed. And because we couldn't wait for institutions or governments to step in, we did it ourselves, with our time, talent, and money. So we rebuilt schools.
The best you can offer a child is by letting them be independent, and that was providing education.
We created jobs.
I have seen the lives of those who have been hopeless. Now they have hope.
And we built an early warning radio network on the front line of the war to protect villages from rebel attacks.
To update real time what's happening on a war zone 8,000 miles away.
All of this was funded by an army of young people who put their money toward their belief in the value of all human life. They gave a few dollars a month of what little they had to a program called Try, and proved that a bunch of littles could make a big difference. And as a result, the unseen became visible.
I've talked to people from Mexico, from Canada, from every other state that I can think of. We're all doing this for the exact same reason, and we're all coming from completely different places. This is what the world should be like.
So with hundreds of thousands of people with us, we went back to Washington, D.C., and we met with congressmen and senators one by one, on both sides, Republicans, Democrats, and they all agreed with us. Joseph Kony's crimes had to be stopped.
Of all the problems that are out there, none is more severe than one that mutilates and takes the lives of little kids.
These young members of the Invisible Children organization know that no child should live in fear of being abducted or killed.
So they were determined to become their voice. They realized that these African children and families were invisible to Washington policymakers, so they decided to make them visible.
And what I was told would never happen suddenly became possible. In furtherance of the Congress's stated policy, I have authorized a small number of U.S. forces to deploy to Central Africa to provide assistance to regional forces that are working toward the removal of Joseph Kony from the battlefield. Sincerely, Barack Obama.
The surprise announcement came in a letter from the White House. The U.S. President's decision commits U.S. troops to help.
To advice and assistance, not putting Americans into combat, to help the countries of the region end this threat once and for all, then that was a worthwhile investment.
We used to think we could not do it, and now when I see we can do it, I am overwhelmed.
After 8 years of work, the government finally heard us. And in October of 2011, 100 American advisors were sent into Central Africa to assist the Ugandan army in arresting Kony and stopping the LRA. It was the first time in history that the United States took that kind of action because the people demanded it. Not for self-defense, but because it was right.